as we continue the series in the long anticipation for the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. Up next is the biggest WrestleMania by indoor attendance in history, WrestleMania III. WrestleMania III took place on March 29, 1987 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, with an indoor attendance of 93,173. Although the number is still disputed, the gate produced $1.6 million with an estimated $10.3 million in pay-per-view revenue off of 400,000 buys. It was viewed by almost 1 million people at 160 CCTV locations across North America. The big sell was WWF champion Hulk Hogan defending his title against Andre the Giant, who had turned heel and joined with manager Bobby Heenan, Hulk's longtime rival from the AWA days. The lead-up was brilliantly done, with longtime babyface Andre the Giant being reinstated by the WWF in late 1986, which involved Bobby Heenan in the negotiations, since he was the one who drove Andre out. Jesse Ventura investigated as to why Andre was reinstated, and the feud was further pushed on Piper's Pit when a large trophy was given to Hulk Hogan for holding the WWF title for 3 years versus a smaller one given to Andre for being 15 years undefeated. Andre turned to Bobby, betrayed Hulk, and made a challenge for the title. This match is followed up by one of the most anticipated matches at the time, WWF Intercontinental Champion Randy Savage defending his title against Ricky Steamboat. The build-up also was brilliant when Randy Savage viciously injured Steamboat's larynx months prior WrestleMania, leading to his triumphant return. The event hosted a total of 12 matches on the card. Like previous shows, WrestleMania brought in celebrities, however this time it was much more limited, with only Bob Uecker, Mary Hart, Aretha Franklin and Alice Cooper joining the show. On commentary, the leads were Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, with interviewers Mean Gene and Vince McMahon, followed by Bob Uecker and Mary Hart. In our version of WrestleMania III, we would modify the card as follows. Billy Jack Haynes vs. Hercules in a full Nelson challenge match. The winner must win by full Nelson. This is a stipulation we are adding since both use the finisher. We would place this match first on the card. 2 strong guys opening the show, making for a good finish, with Hercules going over instead of the original double DQ finish. Bobby Heenan, who managed Hercules, gloats about how it's going to be his lucky night. Tito Santana and the Can-Am Connection versus Don Morocco, Bob Orton and Paul Orndorff in a 6-man tag. Orndorff wasn't there for WrestleMania due to neck issues, however we would attempt to bring him back without much effort needed from him. Earlier in the year we would have Heenan trade Orndorff to Mr. Fuji as he needed the money for Andre. As for Tito, rather than being involved with the Bulldogs, he would join with Rick Martel and Tom Zenk for a match against the villainous Old Guard. Martel gets in a high crossbody on Morocco for the win. Butch Reed vs. Coco Beware. We would place this match earlier with no change as Reed gets the pinfall win. Tito Santana does not appear after the match. The Dream Team vs. the Rougeau Brothers. We would keep this match except the finish, and that Valentine and Beefcake get into a big fight after Beefcake gets pinned by Jacques in a roll-up upset and Valentine blames him for the loss. Beefcake manages to knock down Valentine, Valiant, and Dino Bravo and becomes an instant babyface. King Kong Bundy vs. the Haiti Kid, Little Beaver, Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook in a handicap match. All 4 Little People wrestlers would settle their differences and team up under the guidance of their manager Hillbilly Jim against Bundy, who had threatened all little people around the world that he won't just squash them, but also eat them for breakfast. Bundy, who had an early advantage, would get bitten and eye gouged till the big guy is eventually taken down. Late in the match he gets in a big avalanche on all 4. He goes for a big splash till Hillbilly Jim runs in for the save for Bundy to get the DQ. Bundy is still with Bobby Heenan here, who gets to gloat about another win. King Harley Race vs. Junkyard Dog in a loser must bow match. The finish changes as this time we have Junkyard Dog going over when Race is knocked out on the outside for the countout. JYD demands that the so-called King should bow, but Race refuses and leaves to much fan disappointment. Heenan backstage says despite the setback, he claims that the contact required a pinfall or submission, so there will be no bowing. Rowdy Roddy Piper vs. Adrian Adonis in a hair versus hair match. Billed as Roddy's retirement match, we make no change to the match, and with Beefcake now a babyface it works better when he cuts Adrian's hair. The Hart Foundation, C. vs. The British Bulldogs for the WWF Tag Team Championships with referee Danny Davis. Instead of having Davis wrestle, he is given a probationary period. Davis has been fishy ever since he helped the Hart Foundation win the tag titles, but continued to claim innocence. President Jack Tunney would oversee the tag title match and test Davis. Davis does help the Harts when they mutually attack the Dynamite Kid, who was legitimately injured, together on multiple occasions, and Davis pretends to not notice. Jack Tunney fires Davis during the match, forcing referee Joey Marella to take over. However, the Hart Foundation managed to retain the titles with the Hart Attack finisher on Dynamite for the win. The Honky Tonk Man vs. Jake the Snake Roberts, with Alice Cooper. This is one of those matches we wished Jake would go over. After all, his head was smashed with a guitar on TV weeks ago and losing made no sense. We would have Jake cheat his way with Cooper getting in a cheap shot and Jake landing the DDT for the win. HTM manages to run off, leaving behind Cooper and Jimmy Hart, and Hart getting squeezed by Damien. Randy, Macho Man, Savage, C. versus Ricky, the Dragon, Steamboat for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. This is a perfect match with no change needed, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches in history, with Steamboat winning the title. The Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov versus the Killer Bees. Instead of a DQ, Sheik and Volkov get the win, with Sheik getting in his camel clutch submission on Blair, though we can thank Slick for smashing his cane over Blair's back. Hulk Hogan, C. versus Andre the Giant for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. No change needed at all, with Hulk successfully defending the title with the body slam heard around the world and leg drop finisher. The only difference is we would cut down parts of the match, such as the long bear hug and the floor, shortening the match to 9 minutes instead of 12. Main event alternative. Assuming Andre wasn't available, Junkyard Dog or superstar Billy Graham, if he didn't have an injury, could turn against Hulk. There really is no plan B for this one. Stay tuned for WrestleMania 4 and let us know what you think of this alternate card below. Like, subscribe, and thank you for watching In the Plot.